I just want to share a couple little tips with the RAV before it gets shipped off there. And the first thing is with the roof here, there's 4 bolts that hold the roof on. And these front bolts, I typically just put them in hand tight. They're a little bit tricky to get started just because they go in at an angle. So you definitely want to be careful not to just use a wrench on it. Just use fingers initially. And once you've taken it off and put it back on a couple times, you'll get it figured out pretty good. The other thing is you don't want to over tighten these because it basically compresses the seal on the car. So if you compress it too far, it basically the gap between the body and the top decreases and the top could rub on the paint. So just something to keep in mind with that. The other thing, I think in here is the jack and whatnot, but all the bolts, when I take them out, I always put them in one of the compartments because it's got a compartment on either side. It's a good way to not lose it if you take the top off. The other thing is the back door. I replaced the door stoppers and whatnot. And one of the things with these RAV4s, and this seems to be with all the RAV4s of this generation, is if you just shut the door like that, you'll notice that it doesn't shut all the way. It kind of pops back out because it kind of hits the seal and then it bounces back. So the best way to shut these things is just keep your hand on it the whole time and just keep a really nice firm close on it, and then you don't have to slam it, and it closes every time the way it should. It's just their design with it, how the seal goes into that. The other thing I want to show you is a couple things with the clutch pedal. So the first is that I kind of devised a anti-theft device for the clutch. So the clutch pedal has a clutch override switch. So basically, it won't start if the clutch isn't depressed. And so what I did is to take a magnet and put it so when you push in the clutch, the magnet pushes the pin for the switch on the inside there. So as the clutch goes in, the magnet actually pushes in on the switch. Now, if you take the magnet off and flip it to the other side of the clutch pedal, it basically doesn't push the pin at all. So in essence, it's a really easy way if you're parking somewhere sketchy, you can flip the magnet over. And I'll show you a quick video of where it's located because it's easy, but it's one of those things you can't really see it very easily, and I don't think anyone would ever catch it if they're trying to steal the car.
It doesn't have enough to connect. So this is where it stays when you want to drive. This is where you stay when you want to have a little bit more security. Obviously it's so far down here, few people are going to look.
So the other thing is that I changed the clutch on the clutch pedal itself, and this is something you can keep or change back, but on the clutch arm itself, where the clutch pedal connects to the master cylinder, it basically has a pivot point right where it connects there. And one of the things, I don't know if it was just the 98 generation RAVs, but I noticed between the 98s and the 99s, the clutch pedals on the 99s are a lot easier to push in. This one took some serious effort. So to kind of make it easier to function with the clutch, I moved the pivot point of the clutch arm to the master cylinder from up taller to just down maybe ½ inch, an inch lower on the arm. So if you pull off the clutch pedal, which is like 2 bolts, you can actually move that back up if you want. There's just 2 holes. There's the hole it's currently in and 1 hole up. And so basically what it does, being down a little further, is it creates a different leverage. So your leverage point when you push in the clutch is greater, and so it makes the clutch super easy to operate. It's very easy to drive in town. One thing to note with it is the travel range for the clutch is a lot more because of it being further up. You have to push in the clutch all the way, before you shift gears and whatnot. But then the catch point of the clutch is closer to the top, and so you really have to get off the clutch before you give it a lot of gas, because otherwise you're essentially going to just be burning the clutch. So it's something you just kind of get used to. Once you drive it a little bit, it's really easy to figure out the clutch pickup point and all that fun stuff, but you can adjust it there is adjustments in the master cylinder, so you can change where the clutch pickup point is. You can change the pivot point of it if you want to. Now, if you do change the clutch back to the original hole on that pedal, then you'll want to change back the push rod for it. So the push rod is down here. If you look in the engine bay, this is the slave cylinder here, and you can see there's the push rod. So the push rod that's in there now is a slightly longer push rod, and so if you want to switch it back to that other hole, you want to switch this push rod, which is pretty simple. You just unbolt it. This just pulls out, and you can push it in. So this is the original push rod for this transmission. We'll just put it in the glove box so you got it. Otherwise, the only other thing I'd say that's kind of weird with these cars is the oil. If you're checking the oil, you need to make sure that the car's been basically sitting you know, for hours or overnight before you check it, because a lot of the oil gets in the oil filter. So when you check it, you go, oh my gosh, it's low. And it may not be low, and you might actually be overfilling it. So just make sure you let it sit for a while before you check that oil, at least a few hours. And otherwise, it's all pretty straightforward with maintaining these things. If you get proper fluids and whatnot, I'll provide all the paperwork and stuff that I have, you know, for the car, so that'll be helpful too. So hope that is helpful for you guys, and hope you enjoy the car.